Hello, welcome to the Rick Troutner Show, episode 1 of season 2. So this is a new season. You see, we have a new setup here. I'm upping the quality. I'm upping the production value, and things are gonna get pretty exciting here on the Rick Troutner Show. I have nothing planned for this episode. All I have planned is that I'm gonna look directly into the camera, and I'm gonna look at you fuckers out there that could be watching this, and we're gonna do this podcast thing, and we're gonna do it right, because all these YouTube fucks out here want to look right into the camera, and they want to do this psychopathic, parasitic, parasocial thing where it's like, I'm your friend, but I'm not your friend. None of these YouTube fucks are your friend. Let's get that out there real quick. And I actually had what I wanted to start this episode as, where I want to ask the audience. I want to poll the audience. This channel doesn't. I can't even do community posts. I have so many things I want to post in the community. I see so much ridiculous shit on the internet. You know, everybody's on the internet on this stupid fucking phone that we're now all addicted to, and I can't post it out there in the community. It wouldn't even reach anybody, but I would like the option. Like, why can't YouTube channels with no subscribers be able to post things to a community tab? That should be open from the very beginning to channels. This is discrimination. This is prejudice against small channels, and I think everyone should have the ability to have a community. Even if no one is in the community, everyone should have the opportunity to be able to reach out to their non-existent community. So this podcast is extremely important. We're gonna tackle some big subjects. We're gonna tackle the big topics of the day. And you see right behind me, you're in my show. Everyone's in my show, unless like you're in Asia or some shit. But if you're in the United States, if you're in Canada, if you're down in South America somewhere, you're in the show. You're in the show. So I am a very inclusive human being. I'm a very inclusive person, and that's the kind of energy I want to bring to the show. Because look at that. That's the world, and that's kind of the broadness that I want the Rick Troutner Show to be able to encompass. And what I really need this show to do is to make some fucking money. So I have a Patreon. It's called the Rick Troutner Show, and you can go find it. You can go to Patreon, and you know what? I'm not even gonna pull up. I don't even need to pull up anything on the computer. I just need to talk to you, the listener out there. And I mean, look at this. I told you the production value was coming. I was going to be upping the production value, and here we go. So here, I'll go put this to the side. What is this? What am I dragging right here? So let's lock these, and let's move that over. So there we go. We got me and the world. And I mean, that's the kind of psychological complex that I have, where I cover the entire world. So welcome to the Rick Troutner Show. This is season 2, episode 1. We're not playing any games anymore. We're getting serious. I got the pop shield. I got the microphone. I got some real fucking lights. Look at that. I got a backlight over here. I got a front light over here. And things are getting serious. Things are getting real here. So at what point in your life did you realize what a waste of time movies, television, any kind of fiction really is? Because it really is Disney Plus, Netflix, Hulu, who the fuck are watching any of these things? I mean, with so much content out there, the only content that you should be watching, aside from this show, is things about non-fiction. Like, if you're over the age of 25 or 30, which I am, I just turned 30 last month, there is no reason on planet Earth this planet right here. There's no reason on this planet for you to be watching or entertaining fiction. Like memes, good, because why do memes become successful? Because they are rooted in some kind of reality. That's what makes them funny. What makes comedy successful? It's rooted in some kind of reality. Even if it's a fantastical stretch of reality, it's rooted in some kind of truth. If it isn't, the audience for that is going to be extremely limited. So truth is the mission, and truth is such a hard thing to come by, because truth, like beauty, is in the eye of the beholder. Because facts, now some will say in today's world, facts are depending on who's looking at it, but truth is definitely that way. But obviously facts, if I drop this phone, it's going to fall at 9.8 meters per second, right? It's going to accelerate at 9.8 meters per second squared. I don't want to drop it from here because it's an expensive phone and there's no reason for me to break it. Fun fact, quick tip of the show. So we're going to have tips. Always get a case for your phone. Look, I have the world on my phone as well. So I got the world behind me. So I'm very about the world. Without the world, none of us would be here. And that's a true statement. And that's what this show's about. It's about true statements. So, and, you may be wondering, well, what is the matter that I think that, watching fiction is a waste of time? Well, because I should be someone who's into that kind of thing. I went to film school. I went to the University of Miami. I went to film school to produce fictional things. And there was so many, people that go to film school because they watched a lot of films. I didn't go to film school because I watched a lot of films. I went to film school because the process of making films fascinated me. It was incredibly intriguing, the idea of creating a film and the entire production behind it. But what I've realized through life is that it's far more interesting how everything else gets made. I mean, the fact that running water, that you take a shit and that shit goes somewhere because shit smells terrible. Again, another true fact. Shit smells so bad, and it's bad for you, which is incredible. So the fact that most people are able to just wake up and they have a place for shit to go. I have a friend who has a couple of kids. I have no kids, thank God. And I realize now how important it is to be a very strict parent, because kids are so fucking annoying. Like, they are so incredibly annoying. Like, they are useless. They are parasitic. They consume resources. And I'm saying this about myself too, because we were all kids. But when you see kids as an adult, you realize just what little pieces of shit that they are. And I mean, the hope is that at some point kids become less of a piece of shit, because you're going to be isn't Jeff Bezos kind of a piece of shit? Isn't Bill Gates kind of a piece of shit? And these are some of the most successful people on the planet. I mean, they kind of are, right? I mean, there's a shit. Isn't Joe Biden kind of a piece of shit? Isn't Donald Trump kind of a piece of shit? These are people who were children, who were real pieces of shit, who just kind of turned slightly less of a piece of shit that people would consider a piece of shit for different reasons. And that's, I guess, look at this cat. This cat is a little piece of shit too. You're a little piece of shit. It just shits and barks. See, cat person or dog person. Dogs will piss and shit on the floor. That right there makes them, in my view, worse than cats. Cats will Jekyll and Hyde you. They'll go from, everything's great, a cute little fluff ball, to now they're going to claw a piece of your finger. I don't know if you can see that, but this little fucking cat clawed my finger open. And, I mean, that's the shitty behavior of a cat. But a cat, at least, will shit in a box. And you don't have to... I got a call. I don't need to fucking answer that call. They will shit in a box, and you don't have to clean up the shit. And that is such a magnificent thing about cats. Now, they will vomit every once in a while, and you'll have to clean up the vomit. And I've actually found... Here's another pro tip. Here's another pro-life tip. If your cat vomits on the floor, use a shop vac to just suck the vomit right off the floor. It makes it so much easier. I mean, I guess that could work for dog shit and piss too. Look at this cat. And now people will say, oh, well, you just need to walk the dog. You're not walking the dog. No, trust me. I've dealt with dogs where they have been walked more than enough, and they still end up pissing and shitting on the floor. Completely unacceptable. Completely unacceptable. So, and I mean, they're animals. What are they supposed to do? I mean, these are animals that, you know, it's amazing that, because the dog that I've really only dealt with one dog. The same friend that has these kids has this dog, and which is great. Like this is someone who I work with who has dogs and kids, so I've been able to experience at arm's length what having dogs and kids are like, and it's convinced me that not to not have kids, because there's the biological incentive to have kids. I would like to pass my genes down. But if I die before I end up having kids, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I mean, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. It would be unfortunate, I guess. You know, the line, I'm an only child, so my lineage would end there. But here's the thing. If reincarnation is possible, if somehow it's possible, I don't know. This is an unprovable thing, that whether or not you have kids, I don't know if that affects whether or not you get reincarnated. Maybe it does. Maybe if you never have kids, you're never reincarnated. I don't know. But I don't know if I had kids before and then I got reincarnated now. So I'm not sure how that works. You know what I mean? If someone knows how that works, please leave a comment down below and let me know how the whole reincarnation works. That would be a great YouTube Science Channel explanation video with like, this is how reincarnation works, and they explain how reincarnation works as if they know how the fuck it works, which would be a little... What, cat? What? I'm not even fucking with you. You're like sitting right here and you're gonna wonder, and I'm in this fucking chair that has no lumbar support. What you're gonna claw at me while I'm right here? Look, she's just being playful, but if I let her, she will devour my hand. She will rip it to shreds. She will rip it to shreds. Look, I'm touching her belly, and she's like, "What the fuck? What the fuck?" Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna read to you a meme. My mother sent me this meme. My mother likes to send me cat memes, and I'm gonna read this out to you because it's a story. And it's quite entertaining, and it's going to fill up some time for this podcast. So here we go. This is a story that I'm going to read off right here. My dad was a skydiver back in the 60s. Not my dad, but the dad in this story. There was a guy in his club that was a nut. He had the idea that he could test the axiom that cats always land on their feet from free fall altitude, where he would fall with them and observe their self-righting behavior. He had no interest in aiding their descent, just wanted to see how they behaved in free fall. In his plan, landing was the cat's problem, not his. Scientific impartiality, or some such thing. He took 4 stray cats up in a pillowcase for the jump. After exiting the plane, he turned the pillowcase inside out, releasing the cats. To his great surprise, all 4 cats attached themselves to his body immediately with their claws. Given that cats have 18 claws each, Really? They have 18 claws? Why don't they have 20? Do the back paws not have little thumbs? Do you not have claws on your back little thumbs? Come here. Come here. Come here. Do you not have... Oh, you really don't. Cats really do have 18 claws. Look, we learned something new. Cats only have 18 claws. You only have 18 claws. Oh, you're gonna fucking claw me with your back ones I haven't clipped. Fuck out of here. So cats have 18 claws. So we just learned something new. Look at her. She's clawing the fucking rug. Have 18 claws each. He was punctured at least 72 times. More probably because he struggled vainly to remove the cats as he fell. But they were having none of it, and would reattach with even more conviction with every effort he made to pull them off. Presently, he was out of altitude, and had to turn his attention to opening the chute. Let's pause to do some math. A chute opening can generate as much as 3 Gs of force. The average cat weighs 8 pounds at 1 G. At 3 Gs, this becomes 24 pounds per cat. So when the chute opened, for a moment, this guy had 72 razor-sharp claws in his skin, each one being pulled down with a force of about 1 1/3 pounds. That's 96 pounds of cat. He was sliced to ribbons, basically. All 4 cats hung on through the chute opening, although the skydiver's shredded flesh allowed each one to slip several inches. Bleeding and in misery, the skydiver managed to make a safe, if rather rough, landing in a farm field. As soon as he hit the earth, all 4 cats ran off across the field, leaving him to lie there bleeding from his 100 or so wounds. He was the only member of the skydiving club that was displeased with the results of his experiment. So there you go. So if you're wondering if a cat will land on its feet, maybe try just throwing it off a building. Throw it off a balcony. You know what I mean? Throw it off your roof. Throw it off anything else but out of a pillowcase jumping out of a plane. So these are the things that we're going to learn, because there's people out there on this earth that may want to attempt throwing cats out of a pillowcase while jumping out of a plane. But if you watch this show, you'll know that that's not the case. Or if you read that meme. See, I don't know how many people read that meme. And people don't like to read. That's a lot of reading for your average person these days. But what you can do is you can listen to the slightly aggravating sound of my voice. And now you have this knowledge. This knowledge has been imparted to you. So these are the things. Now that I've hit 30 years old, it is time for me to start imparting important knowledge. Knowledge like do not throw cats out of a pillowcase while jumping out of a plane. There are other ways to test this theory. Like I said, with the amount of high rises that there are out there, you can just throw the cat clean off from the balcony and make sure you have a nice slow-mo camera capturing it, and you'll be able to test this experiment. But you do not want to release them close to your person. If anything, get one of those potato cannons, those air cannons, and put the cat inside and shoot the cat out of the cannon. And then make sure you have a camera that's following the cat during its descent to see if it manifests this self-righting behavior or not. Marvel movies. The DC Extended Universe. Harry Potter. Lord of the Rings. Ginormous waste of time. You really know that the entire Western society, is this a thing in poorer societies in the second and third world? Is this a thing? It kind of is, I guess, for some people, that to immerse yourself into this spectacular fiction. And an ex-girlfriend of mine now has a pretty cushiony job for one of the largest biggest budget production movies that probably will ever get produced. It's a movie that its first incarnation, incredibly successful, was one of the most successful movies of all time. And the budget for its second incarnation and the time to produce it has stretched over a decade. And the budget is in the hundreds of millions of dollars. All of this to create a fantastical fiction, which could just have easily been produced for very little money by a writer who in any other time period would just write a novel, put words down on a page, and for the price of printing could now get that out there. But now we are at a point where huge budget movies are the norm. And now with streaming, there's a whole world of fictional bullshit out there to consume. Now, let's not get it twisted. I have consumed a lot of fictional bullshit. I have. And I would presume that the majority of the population of Western society has consumed a lot of fictional bullshit. Even things which purport to be nonfiction are fiction. Propaganda. And just complete falsehoods about the nature of reality. Now, I've binge watched, and I think one of the greatest ways, if you still admire, let's say you're a young person looking to go into film school or into media or communications, into filmmaking, and you're doing it because you love some of the great movies, I would suggest going to watch a series. It's a YouTube series called The Pitch Meetings. It's on a channel called Screen Rant, and it's by this great actor called Ryan George. And he does this series about what a hypothetical situation, again, more fictional bullshit, of what it would be like to pitch the movie as it was released, which creates an interesting thing because there's a big difference between the words that get written on a script and what actually ends up on the screen. I mean, now the variations of that are definitely wide. You know, some are closer to the original words written on the script, and some are completely departed from the words written on the script. And then some scripts come from novels and books, which then get translated into scripts, which then get translated into movies. And they vary, you know, they get very far removed from the original source material. So, what my point is that what was actually pitched movie as the movie is probably nowhere near what actually ended up getting produced, because of the actual logistics of turning a script into film. Things get changed, you know, because of the people involved, the logistics involved, the creative leanings of the people involved decide to change and manipulate certain things. So seeing what the pitch meeting is for a certain movie, seeing how you would pitch a certain movie, is even more comical when you're pitching what the end result actually was. Because there's many things that you probably see in this series of the pitch meetings where it may have been an oversight or some change that could have been explained, that was maybe explained in another scene, but because of the what they wanted the length of the movie to be, or because of the budget or the logistical constraints or whatever it may be, now a portion of that story has been removed, and now there's this gaping hole which now leaves something unexplained and makes something that maybe would have made sense not make sense. But there's a lot of bullshit that comes with fictional bullshit. And it really, one of the things that you need for whether it's theater or a film or even a novel, is you need to suspend your disbelief. You need to sit there, and even though you as a logical, thinking, intelligent human being know that you're watching some bullshit, you just accept the fact that it's bullshit, accept the premise, and then move on with it. But in today's world, where we have access to so much, now it may be it may all be fiction. See, this is where it is. What is actual reality? Because even when you get into the news, what is real and what is fake? What is actually going on versus what is an agenda that someone's pushing that is now influencing the words that you're saying. So, and even studies in science, like the only things, the best that you can do is to make an attempt to perform unbiased scientific experiments yourself, and to try your best to remove as many biases as that you can see, as many biases as that you can perceive, to be able to reach some kind of conclusion of fact. There are some undeniable things that happen in life which we can all agree on. We are all born. We will all die. And maybe we won't. Maybe we'll reach a point where, no, we will all die. There's no living forever for anybody. There's a possibility to extend your life. I mean, life extension is happening right now. There are many, many people that should be dead that are not, because of medical advances, because of the technologies that have been created that shelter us, that the medicines, the medical care. So life extension is already a thing. It's not like, oh, in the future you're going to be able to. No, the fact that life expectancy has gone up as it has is a form of life extension. This is an obvious statement, but something that maybe a lot of people don't think about. You think about life extension as being some kind of future technology. No, that's here now. Now, it's the case that life extending technologies are improving. There are new technologies that are being introduced to the market, which may do it better, which may extend your life longer, which may de-age you a certain amount. But I don't think anything actually de-ages you. It just better cares for the body that you have to be able to live. I mean, any kind of organ transplant, that's an incredible form of life extension that is a relatively brand new phenomena. I mean, when was the first successful organ transplant done? All right, we're gonna have to open up in the computer. When was the first successful organ transplant? In 1954, here, let's put this up. In 1954, the kidney was the first human organ to be transplanted successfully. So 2021 minus 1954. Why doesn't it just give me the math? 67 years. So for nearly just one lifetime, we've had the possibility to transplant first kidneys and then other organs. I love how the trend data for 1954 for 2021 minus 1954 like just started happening now. Like nobody was searching for 2021 minus 1954. But then people that were born in 1954 now trying to figure out, how old am I? How fucking old am I? Well, I better do a Google search and see what 2020. Oh, I'm turning 67 this year. Well, hot damn. So for 67 years, for only 67 years have we had the ability to transplant organs. So that's a life-extending technology. The ability to transplant organs is a life-extending technology. Let me see. On my license, am I an organ donor? Does it say that flat out? I know initially I was. Does it still say that on the new license? Am I an organ donor? Am I a good citizen that's gonna donate my parts like a good used car, like a good junkyard car? That's essentially what you are. You're like a junkyard car. Let's see. Does it say anywhere organ donor? They burn. Number. No, it doesn't say anywhere. It doesn't say that anymore. So I don't know. I don't know if once I die, if I become like a junkyard car, a place where you can get some good used parts from. I don't know if that's the case. In any of the Cars movies, in any of the Pixar Cars movies, is there ever a scene where a car goes into a junkyard? Because if you were a car, going into a junkyard would be like going into a war zone. Like, it is a dark place. I mean, because it would be the equivalent, like a junkyard. The human equivalent of a junkyard would be dead bodies just lined up in rows on like a barren, piece of land, and then just hearts and livers and lungs and bits of pieces and cartilage and flesh just all over the place, and blood just all over the place, and it would just be a very horrifying. Like, if cars, since we're about to have self-driving cars, right? Maybe not. So if cars become sentient, and Cars, the movie, becomes the reality, like self-driving cars become the reality, and they kill all the humans, the junkyards are the Holocaust of, like, it's like the black market, organ market that exists for human beings today, where you get kidnapped and you wake up and now your kidney's removed and you just got organ harvested. Like, that's the kind of dark reality of car junkyards. It's fine because there's a utility for it, and we don't consider cars sentient beings. I don't either. I mean, they're mechanical machines. But if it ever was the case, and there's a great piece of fictional bullshit that kind of illustrates that. I don't know if there's ever a scene in Cars. That would be a great scene. Cars 4, it should open up and it's just like a junkyard, and there's engines and transmissions and just fluid all over the place, and then the cars are walking through, and it's just like, what happened here? It's like, these were from the dark days when the humans roamed the earth. These are from the dark days, because it is kind of a horrifying thing. So I don't know where I was going with that. That was just a thought. But this is the new show. This is the new season. And I told you people that the quality was going up. The quality of the content, maybe not so much. But from all the bullshit that I've seen on YouTube, I know I can have a show. For all the charlatans that have a show that just spew nonsense and just uneducated, uninformed, unentertaining nonsense, I know I can have a go at doing a show, and I have some equipment to do it. I got some lights, I got some cameras, I got the earth behind me. There's the earth. I would be a terrible weather person. I'd be pointing at the wrong things. I need to get the the ability to point in line. So thank you for watching the Rick Troutner Show. This is season 2, episode 1. You can find this show everywhere where podcasts are made available. You can find it on Spotify. You can find it on Google Podcasts. You can find it on Apple. You can find it iTunes, Apple. On all of the big corporations that are out there. We are feeding the beast. This show, we are feeding the beast because I cannot wait for the deep fakes of me to come out. See, if I can already just say kind of really offensive things. Someone made the point in a video. There's this channel, and I did a reaction video to it. What if alt hist? Where he made the point that we are living in a time where things are so coddled. People are so coddled. Like basic, in the pyramid of needs, there's the basic needs, food, shelter, air, water. Then where's the pyramid of needs? Let's see. Let's put up Oh, it's raining right now. Pyramid of needs. Haslow hierarchy of needs. Here we go. Here's a good one. Open image, a new tab. There we go. All right. So let's load this up. All right. So here's the pyramid of needs. So we have physiological needs. Air, water, food, shelter, sleep, clothing, reproduction, safety needs, personal security, employment, resources, health, property, love and belonging, friendship, intimacy, family, sense of connection, esteem, respect, self-esteem, status, recognition, strength, freedom, self-actualization, desire to become the most that one can be. So we've covered so many of these, like such a good part of the population has now successfully covered so many of these needs, the physiological needs, the safety needs, that now there's such a big part of the population that are working on this, that now people's feelings are coddled. I just saw an article the other day where it's like a school district is going to remove the names of the holidays. It may be bullshit, but it's just it kind of speaks to what's going on. And I don't have an opinion on this. I just find it interesting. I find it fascinating that for most of human history, the last thing anybody was worrying about were your fucking feelings. Was anybody's fucking feelings. Like, imagine being in some kind of village and you've just gone through war after war after war, and now you have to take into account people's feelings. Like, you have to be like, whoa. It's like everyone needs to become, a warrior. The women need to raise the children to become the warriors, and then the parts of the people. Some people need to go get the food. Some people need to build the houses. Some people then need to tend to the homes and the roads and these are the things that need to happen, because if they don't, you're dead. And the feelings don't fucking matter if you're dead. Like, feelings only matter while you're alive and you have these other things, because you're not worrying about your fucking, because if you're hungry, if you're thirsty, if you don't have shelter, see, it's just raining right now. If I wasn't in shelter, fuck whatever. What I'm feeling is I'm getting fucking rained on, and it's hot outside, and there's fucking mosquitoes outside, and this is horrible. So with those things covered, it's like now you can just sit around and be like, oh, here's how I feel. Here's how I feel. Here's how I feel. I'm not saying feelings aren't important. They of course are. But from an institutional standpoint, from a society-wide standpoint. It's like, we can't do this, or we shouldn't do this because it'll hurt people's feelings. And the whole nature of feelings is that they're individual in nature. You never know what's going to affect someone's feelings in a positive or negative way. There are things that someone would find grotesque and abhorrent, where someone else finds exciting and exhilarating. And that's just how they feel about it. And vice versa. So people's feelings are, by their nature, subjective. Of course, you can make generalizations about the things that make people feel good, and, unprovoked attacks, unwarranted, unprovoked attacks are generally not a good thing to do, but it's less about that it's because it's going to hurt someone's feelings, and more about self-preservation, because every action has a reaction. So if you do something horrible to someone, chances are it's going to perpetuate and begin a cycle of horribleness. So from your own self-preservation, you would want to not unprovoked attack someone, even just with words. It's not a nice thing to do. But to take into account in mass, to not do something because it might affect someone. See, that's always, it's not like, oh, if you do something, this objective thing is going to happen. You do it because it might then not affect someone's feelings. These problems are so minimal compared to the real big problems that exist. And with all the problems, I just had an Airbnb guest here, and we were talking about, some of the worldly things that were going on, and how parts of the world, where the predicament that we're in the world, and where there's horrible things happening. But overall, in a general sense, we as a species of animal, are doing better than we've ever done in the history of planet Earth. Look at this fucking chair. Well, that was pronounced. That was right on cue. But we as a species are doing better than we've ever done, simply by the amount of people that there are on Earth that have been risen out of poverty. That's one of the big things. Population trends and dynamics have had an enormous effect on prospects for poverty reduction and sustainable development. Poverty is influenced by and influences population dynamics, including, why am I going to tweet this? Are you fucking out of your mind? Including population growth, age structure, and rural-urban distribution. All this has a critical impact on a country's development prospects and prospects for raising living standards for the poor. Investments in better health, including reproductive health, are essential for individual security and for reducing mortality and morbidity, which in turn improve a country's productivity and developmental prospects. There's this graph that shows how many people living in abject poverty. 1.3 billion people. Global poverty. Facts. However, when looking beyond income to people experiencing deprivation, health, education, 1.3 billion people in 107 developing countries are multidimensionally poor, according to a 2020 report by the UN Development Program. How can I help end global poverty? Here we go. We're going to do some good on this show. So how can you help? Learn more about World Vision's work to eradicate... What? So we can do two things right now. Oh, I'm going to get ripped apart for this. Learn more about World Vision's work to eradicate global poverty. Pray with us for World Vision's work around the world using Matthew 25 prayer guides. All right, let's do some fucking praying on here. Prayer and reflection on the me. So all you poor people out there, you're welcome. You're fucking welcome, because I'm about to pray for you. So eat that. Eat my prayer. Eat my fucking prayer. Prayer and reflection. The implication of this passage from Matthew 25 is as revelatory for us as it was in Matthew's days. So what? So if I just read this, am I helping with poverty? So if I just read this right now, am I now helping with world poverty? Can I say that I am a world poverty crusader? Can I put in my LinkedIn bio that I helped reduce world poverty? Because I would like to put that on my... Can I get like a Google... I was looking at the Google certification, and I think I'm going to go do this. Google certification. And you can go out there. See, I don't know why these poor fucks don't just start getting some professional certificate. Like, what are they doing? Why are they still poor? Why aren't they hopping on their laptop, on their lappity-toppity, and going to do some Google certifications? They could be earning some serious money. What is wrong with all these poor people? I think they're just lazy. They're just lazy. They're just lazy. See, look. I mean, look at some of the success stories. So, I mean, I don't understand why there's 1.3 billion people in poverty when there's the Google certificate program. Because Chelsea, a year ago, Chelsea wasn't sure what she was going to do with her life. Chelsea wasn't sure what she was going to do with her life. But now with the Google program, don't change to the other one, you motherfucker. I thought everything was falling apart. I feel hopeful about the future now. So you can go out there and get a certification and then go make 50 to 100,000 a year doing some bullshit, or we could just pray. So welcome to church, everyone. All right, let's put this back right here, because we're gonna do a prayer to the world. We're gonna send out the Lord's message right here to the world. So we're gonna pray to the world. Pray to the world. Pray to the world, everyone. The implication of this passage from Matthew 25. So Matthew 25 is as revelatory for us as it was in Matthew's day. All right, good. So, I mean, according to worldvision.org, we just got to learn and pray. That's like half the battle right there. So if more people just learn more and pray, we could... I personally think if more of these fucks just went and got a Google certification, we could just be done with this. They're just procrastinating. Procrastination is the real problem here. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me. Whatever you did for one of the least of these, brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. I did do it for you. You're welcome. Matthew 25, 35, 36, 40, NIV. Look, you're back, cat. God wants our lives to overflow with mercy, love, and compassion. The marks of his kingdom. As followers of Jesus, we have... Is this a church? What is this? What is World Vision? So we learn more. So let's learn more. What do we have to learn? Our work. Pulling up the roots of poverty and planting the seeds of change. Building relationships, earning the right to be heard, planning and working alongside local leaders. Finding solutions to change the future for kids and the next generation. Here's just some of what we accomplished together in 2019. So did they just quit in 2020? They're like, whoa, 2020 is just too intense. We're going on a sabbatical. We are going on a sabbatical. COVID and we're not going to deal with these dirty poor people while COVID's going on. I don't want to catch COVID. Select a country to learn more. What did you do in the United States? How did you reduce poverty in the richest country in the world? Why World Vision matters in the United States. ESC and TRC membership applications, training portal, volunteer opportunity. See, why isn't this like the first one? Wouldn't volunteer opportunities be like one of the things? Why is the first one to learn and to pray? What is poverty? Quality of life is also part of the conversation. Living in poverty means a life of struggle and deprivation. Children living in poverty often lack access to quality education. Sometimes it's because there are not enough quality schools. Their parents cannot afford school fees. I can tell you this. Education is important, but there's this boundary in education where there's things that you need to learn. The ability to read and write and communicate is important. Math is important. But beyond that, because like you're going to learn about history in school, but you're going to learn some bullshit about history. Like you're going to learn the stories of the victors of the wars. You're not going to learn actual history. You're going to learn history as dictated by, especially in the United States, by the corporations and organizations which write the textbooks that then get mandated to teach those things in school. I'm not saying that's a good or a bad thing. I'm just saying that's what it is. Like the fundamental things that are fundamental truths. And what always puzzled me is that why on the first day of school wasn't it like, welcome to Earth? Well, you're a living being on Earth. You, for all intents and purposes, never existed before. Never existed. For infinite time, you didn't exist. Or maybe you did. We don't know. Like, welcome to the first day in school, everyone. So, the first thing that you're going to learn is that you are what we call a human being in the English language. You have 10 fingers and 10 toes. At least most of you do. Some of you don't. You have 2 arms, 2 legs. Most of you do. Some of you don't. You have 2 eyes. You have 2 nostrils. You have a mouth, 2 ears. They're all functioning for most of you. Some of you don't. About half of you are males, and the other half of you are females. And how there ends up being more of you is male and females genitalia go into one another, like how a key goes into a lock, and then it's not like put a key in a lock and you turn it. You kind of put the key in the lock over and over again, and then the key kind of puts out some kind of fluid, and then 9 months down the line another being then emerges into the world. And this has been going on for apparently thousands of years. And years is you see that big bright thing up in the sky? Well, that is a nuclear disaster. And what is a nuclear disaster? What is going on? Well, at the very small, from best that we can understand, that at the smallest level of existence, there's these things called atoms, and they're made up of protons, electrons, and these are just things that we're calling them. They're really just these kind of wave fluctuations, because they're not actually like, we're gonna draw them and they're gonna be like a little circle of something, but it's really not really a real thing. It's really just kind of a wave function that there's a probability that it's somewhere and not somewhere, and then those things in the middle, when under a very extreme pressure, beyond anything that you could ever imagine, they fuse together. And when these very incredibly small things are forced to fuse together, they let out a wave of energy, and energy is experienced in the form of lights and photons and also heat. And it's really you experience as heat because you kind of your brain then makes an inference of what hot and cold is, but it's really just a wave. Like there's no, oh, it's hot, it's cold, it's good or it's bad. There's just waves that are in higher in amplitude and lower in amplitude, and waves that are higher in frequency and less in frequency. And these photons are then more along the same lines, where there's this kind of fabric of the universe, this kind of wave function of the entire universe. And so that star is releasing just an ungodly amount of photons or light and heat, and that energy has been raining down on this little thing that we call the Earth, which for all intents and purposes is a kind of an oblong spheroid that has been around for billions of cycles, and we're going to call a cycle a year. And it's these billions of cycles where because right here on the surface of the Earth, you feel you're not floating around, you're planted firmly on the ground or on whatever it is. Are you trying to freaking attack me when I'm not even messing with you? You just came back to fuck with me, didn't you? You could be anywhere else in this house. You could be anywhere else, but you came here. You want to play? All right, you're gonna play. Now you're in the show. You want to fuck with me? Now you're in the show. You're on TV. Now you're on TV, so everybody can see. Everybody can see, because you have no idea about any of these things. Maybe you do. Maybe cats have, they figured all this out. They're like, yeah, there's photons and electrons and nuclei and the sun and nuclear energy, but they're like, there's nothing we could do about it. Let's just live life and piss and shit in litter boxes and these ape-like creatures. They're now going through that phase of let's go figure out the secrets of the universe. And cats are just like, we figured out the secrets of the universe millennia ago. We don't give a fuck. There's no fucking point. There's no real leaving this planet, because we're in a gravity trap where the amount of energy you need to leave the gravity trap, the calculation of the amount of fuel that you need to leave the gravity sphere, and then what the fuck are you gonna go find out there? Because it's just horrifying out there. It's cold, it's extremely dangerous, there's nothing going on, there's no sunrises, there's no sunsets, it's just dark, it's just a void. I mean, you can see it right here on the show. It's just a dark, empty, cold, radiation filled void with who knows what the fuck is going on. So at least on this very thin layer of the Earth's surface, you have this atmosphere that you could breathe, and there's fruits and there's vegetables and there's there's rats and mice that can get killed, and little animals that have proteins and meat that can be eaten. And this is the best that it's gonna get. So while you fucking apes go try and figure out the secrets of the universe, we're gonna go turn into these cute little fucking puffball animals that you're gonna take care of. You're gonna clean up our shit. You're going to now build the housing so that we don't have to go and be out there and dealing with predators and, all the horrors of the world. And we're going to live in there, and we're going to be living like gods. Even in some civilization, they're going to think that we are gods, because cats have really got it fucking figured out. We're just going to kind of lounge all day. We're going to sleep 17 hours a day. And then from time to time, we're going to sprint across the house. And then other times we're going to be licking our own asshole, and we're just going to, fuck and breed. And that's what life is really about. The shit that you're doing, that you're sitting there and you're doing what? And you're a fucking, you're a producer for fucking Netflix, and you're making some bullshit show about WandaVision, and you're just doing this and you're doing Ozark season 4, and who gives a fuck about what you're doing? I mean, who really gives a fuck about that? And you're doing it so that you can go get a mortgage, and then you can go have someone give you the permission to go take over a piece of property where I just live on fucking the world anyways for fucking free forever. What are you doing? So I don't know what you're doing, but we got to figure it out. So that's what the first day of school should be like. This shit where it's like, and you're gonna learn U.S. history and sociology and what other kind of things are you gonna learn? We're gonna learn mathematics. You know what I mean? But no, math is kind of important, and it's kind of interesting as well. So this is the Rick Troutner Show. I'm just going to kind of ramble on about shit. And, you know, we may uncover some hard truths about the world. But, I mean, I guess by the end of it, we may come to the same realization that cats have come to. That all this stuff that we're doing, well, not futile. I mean, because what is the point? To live better lives? And, I mean, aside from kind of the first levels of the hierarchy of needs, a lot of what living a good and better life is in the individual. I mean, it's not out in the material. It's not out in buying more shit. People, you know, they want you to think that it's about buying more shit because that's what runs, you know, buying shit is a way for you to give up your power to something else. Unless it's something you absolutely need, you're just giving up power to someone else. And that's fine. I mean, power, energy has to flow anyways. You know, the sun is giving off, you know, terawatts and terawatts of power every day, and it's not bothered by it. So there's enough fucking energy to go around. There's enough power to go around. And I would say that the future episodes of this show, this thing that I call a show, will explore these topics more in depth, and maybe I'll get better at articulating it, and maybe by episode 100 I'll be able to articulate this in such a way that I can be like a Jordan Peterson character or some kind of figure like that, where when I speak things make sense and people are sitting around, they're like, man, my life is fucked up, but now that I hear this man speak, it kind of makes sense, and maybe I can adjust my life and adjust my point of view and my perspective, because, you know, if you live in the United States or in South America, you're in this photo. Like, you're in this photo. Like, think about that. You're in this photo. If you live in the United States, if you live in Mexico, if you live in Costa Rica, if you live in Guatemala, if you live in Colombia, if you live in Venezuela, if you live in any of the land pictured here, you're in this photo. So this is probably the most inclusive photo. You know, this is the biggest group photo. You know, there was that whole thing where Ellen, you know, the Ellen, who's running Abu Ghraib behind her show, and, you know, a bunch of other celebrities did a big selfie. This is the biggest. I have a better selfie than Ellen. You know, they did that big selfie at the Oscars. Well, this is a better version of that selfie, because we're all in it, or at least half of us are. Less than half, because more than half actually live on the other side. But so we should all take a moment to go outside and just look up into the sky and wave. And then whenever this satellite, and if you would like to know where I got this photo, and I'll end it on this, all you have to do is go search Epic Discover, and you have to spell discover wrong, and it's going to take you to this site right here where you can go and look. This is like the latest photo that got taken. So, and this website's pretty incredible. So right here, this is a photo of this part of the earth, and it's at a distance of 995,000 miles and 261 miles from Earth. It's 93 million miles away from the sun, and the sun to the earth is 94 million miles away. And you can go and select the part of it that you want to grab, and then you can right click, save the image as, and, you know, if you're living over in Asia or in Africa or in Europe, you can go get the photo where you're in. You can get your own personal photo, you know, where you'll be able to see yourself in here. And this is it. This is all of it. This is everything we've ever known, and I mean everything we may ever know, because while there's these expeditions of going to the moon and going to Mars and doing all these things, they're very difficult, very dangerous, and I don't think it's impossible, but it'll be very difficult. So if you're going to bet that we're going to stay an Earth-based civilization, I would say that's a pretty strong bet. So let's make the most of it. All right. So thank you for watching. the Rick Troutner Show. I've been your host. It's been an absolute pleasure to do the show. If you found it entertaining, share this with your friends. If you want to become a Patreon, I don't even know what I'm going to do on a Patreon. Maybe I'll do Patreon only episodes. It seems to be the popular thing to do. And it's on Anchor, Spotify, and anywhere else, because it all runs through Anchor, wherever the fuck else Anchor posts these things. And that's all I have for you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on episode 2 of The Rick Troutner Show.